Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lucha por Lucha. This is Mel Riojas, and I'm here with the letter
B, the best letter in the alphabet.
This is episode 7 with Danny Ismael. So from the last time we were with you, B and I went over to San Antonio to check out an RCW show for the very first time. Mm-hmm. So what did you think, B?
I didn't know what to expect just because I really only go to the shows that are here, local. But it was freaking awesome. I mean, I saw a guy jump off a balcony, so that was great. Loved Maddie, obviously. And
the
Devin
main character.
Carter, yes, the main character. As soon as she walked out, I was like, fuck yes, that outfit.
Yeah.
Fuck yes, that attitude.
The denim fit was a 10 for me.
For sure.
My God.
Devin Carter also.
Yes.
Amazing. My favorite part, I want to say it was Izzy James. Was the one that jumped off the freaking balcony. That was insane. I did not see that coming. Right. That to me was like, okay, that was worth going to San Antonio alone. It was a great show overall, though. It was a lot of fun.
I enjoyed seeing the pillars. It'd been a while. You saw the King and Stud Stash. Yeah, I did see them, which you guys would always talk about them, and I had never been able to see them IRL, and now I did, and it was great. Okay, so coming up soon, we have the Combat Cult Coffin match with Pete Payne. It's going to be in October, so you have all the spooky vibes. Pete Payne, Coffin, I'm there.
It's at Suerte, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Suerte here in Weslaco.
So they'll have drinks. Oh, they're margaritas. They're double shot margaritas.
Oh, hell
Forget
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So good. I'm excited.
What day is it? October
14th, I believe.
Combat Cult will be there October 14th at Suerte in Weslaco. And hopefully double fisting, si Dios quiere. Before we get into Danny Ismael's episode, we want to say R.I.P.
Oh, Dumbledore passed away at the age of 82.
This weekend, be sure to pour one out for Mr. Dumbledore.
Que en paz descanse.
So for now, enjoy Danny Ismael. Woo!
How would you introduce yourself to B? You're trying to get her to come to the show.
All right. Well, let me tell you something, brother. Or should I say sister B. Wow. One of my favorite letters in the alphabet, B. I tell you what, B for badass. Well, listen, B, you want to see a badass professional wrestling show? Mm-hmm. Look no further than New Breed Wrestling or Combat Cult or the Wrestling League, whichever promotion is booking me. I don't want to get no heat, brother. But B, you want to see great professional wrestling? Look no further than the Rio Grande Valley. People like myself, Daniel Ismael, people like Mooncat Franco, James Blackheart, Danny Chance, so many other pro wrestlers. Man, we wake up, we sleep, we eat. All we do is think about pro wrestling. One day, you'll see us on TV, but for now, you'll see us in your backyard, B. Come check us out.
I'm sold.
There you go.
Which is the button? The C?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not.
Damn, that's so.
There you go.
Wow. My confidence is at an all-time low. We just started.
It's not C and it's not D.
Oh.
Should have been B, but it's A. That was really good, man. One thing that I've really enjoyed from watching you, because I got to see you start off as a cameraman for Wrestling Revolution. I think that's when I first met you. And then I've seen you grow to Danny Ismael, the person that gets booked around the valley, outside of the valley. You're taking these bookings, you're cutting these promos, and what I love about your promos is that there's a lot of truth behind what you say.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing about pro wrestling is reality, truth. Like when you watch a movie, which to me that's what wrestling is. It's a story, it's a movie. When you watch Harry Potter, you don't think, oh, there's actors going. Nah, you're in the world of Harry Potter. So in pro wrestling, it's my world that I'm telling you, and it's a part of reality. So that's kind of my goal in wrestling, is just to get people sucked in and to fall into the story. And the story is real. Like, real life is really interesting, you know. You look at the room we're in here, and the real life stories of everybody is interesting. The adversity you face, the tough times, the good times. You know, I look at you with an AEW shirt on,
Who, me?
Yeah. And I remember when you were wrestling in Cena El Rey, and I remember the first time Mel went to one of your shows. I remember because, you know, when there's like someone who's like a girl older than 20 in the audience, every single person notices. So you're like, wow, why is she there? It's like, oh, Joe's like, oh, I met this, you know, lovely lady.
Everybody was like, hey, who's that girl? Who's that girl? Like, back off.
That's why I don't like my girlfriend to go to shows, but she goes regardless.
She doesn't listen.
The boy, everyone's really nice. So I remember seeing y'all in the very beginning, and look at you now, dude. Oh my God. I remember talking to you in Harlingen at a bar when you were retired from pro wrestling, didn't know what to do. You were thinking about coming back as Joe Haas, and you've now made a career out of something you love, and that's beautiful.
Oh, thank you, man. Hey, don't turn this around. This is not about me. This is an episode about you.
I've only had 17 matches, so I know you win a whole hour talking about 2 of yours, but
I know.
You know, I only have so much to tell.
This is going to be no different, man.
Yeah, oh God.
Allow me to put myself over, pal.
Once again, it's all about Alvaro.
Alvaro,
As
Alvaro,
per
Alvaro.
usual.
So, Danny, like, thank you very much, man. That means a lot. I mean, you're one of the people that I really connected with from those down here, as far as like we would go on road trips, and even locally, like we'd hang out and talk deeply about pro wrestling, about our love, about what made us who we are and where we want to go. Has anything changed now that you're an actual wrestler, now that you're competing? Like, has anything changed as far as your goals in the wrestling community?
Well, 2 things have changed. One, I now get incredibly nervous before every wrestling show. Before, I would just, and I spent years as a cameraman, and the reason why I was the cameraman was just when I went to the first Cena El Rey show, I wanted to get involved with wrestling, and that was my way of getting involved, was buying a camera from Best Buy and recording the matches. And they were already being recorded, but it was going to be, they were recording it on a GoPro on the outside. So I was like, I'll bring that to the table so I can get a part of the world. So I did that for years. But now I get really nervous and anxious because, man, to be a pro wrestler is a very nerve-wracking thing. I want to do a good job, and it's a lot of pressure. In terms of goals, I don't really have any like crazy goals in terms of like, oh, I want to be in WWE or I want to be in AEW. I would love to do that one day, but my goal in pro wrestling is really simple. It's just to... Like, the reason why I love pro wrestling is because people can just tune out of their problems in life and watch something. And also, the other thing I like about pro wrestling is like a story. It's anything can happen. You can put 2 dudes in the Rio Grande Valley in a wrestling ring, and if we do all the right things, we can create a moment that somebody in the audience is going to like never forget. So that is my goal. It's just to be a good pro wrestler. I really love pro wrestling, and I'm so far away from being a good pro wrestler. But, yeah, look at somebody like Bryan Danielson and the way he carries himself, and that's kind of what I aspire to be, is like, I just love pro wrestling for what it is, and I love the idea that someone can just, that we can make something, and it can be the greatest thing ever. So that's what I love. My goal is just to be a better pro wrestler, and now I'm trying to juggle that with having a job and obviously a great relationship and family and stuff. It's difficult, man. There ain't enough time in the day. But that's my goal, dude.
The wrestler's life, man.
It's hard.
And, you know, and everything that you just said, I think is, you can see the passion in your promos, in your intro, in your matches. You could see it here through the podcast. Like, even though this is an audio platform, I'm more than sure that people listening to this can feel the passion that you bring to the table. Where does that stem from? Like, where did all this love for pro wrestling start?
Well, I always love stories. I think we all do. I think everyone loves movies, TVs. Some people still read books. I gravitated towards wrestling, but I also love sports and movies and stuff. And I think the reason why wrestling resonated with me at an early age is I wasn't like a nerd or nothing. I was just or let me rephrase that. I was a nerd, but I was never bullied in high school, so it's not like a sob story you were bullied. I was just an only child who felt very alone for some reason. I had friends, but I didn't really have best friends. So I had a kind of a lonely childhood. So when you're lonely, you have Friday Night SmackDown or Monday Night Raw each and every week. And when that's there for you, time and again, when you're a lonely kid, man, that's really powerful when it sinks into you. So that's kind of where my passion came from. Is as a kid, pro wrestling was like my friend, and it's something that really resonated with me. That type of storytelling. Like, I just love it so much. I could spend all day watching wrestling. I could. And the cool thing about pro wrestling is you would never run out of stuff to watch. I mean, you go back to in this country, to like the 50s, you go to every other country, you can go back to like, it's so amazing. So that's why I love it. I'm really obsessive over stuff. And pro wrestling is a great big world where you can be obsessive and constantly learn new stuff. And it's just my own way of having a voice inside, because I think a lot about like how like our time on is limited, right? Like this past week I went to my grandfather's ranch, where he was raised with his 10 brothers all in the same plot of land. And I remember when I was a kid, all 10 brothers were there. And my name Ismael comes from my grandpa Ismael, and he passed away years ago. But I go now and there's only 2 brothers left. One is losing it, and one is battling a severe illness. It's a very sad situation. So I think a lot about dying and stuff. But I say all that to say, to wrestle is to have lived, to wrestle a match, to have a 1-year career, a 10-year career. That's my moment to live and do something really, really cool in my life. So that's where the passion comes from. Is like in the face of like, damn, like time on earth is only so limited. Well, I'm going to use this time. I'm going to use my body to do this with my life, and hopefully do something really cool with it, or just have a mediocre wrestling career. Who knows? That's the gamble you take. There's thousands of professional wrestlers that want to be in WWE and AEW, and only a couple hundred make it. But damn, I love it. But there's a great sacrifice to your body that you do. But I'm willing to take it.
So I'm gonna move a little forward and ask you guys something. Normally we ask the guests the questions. I'm gonna ask my my co-hosts questions.
The girlies.
The girlies. I want to know your thoughts when you were introduced to Danny Ismael, the character, not necessarily Daniel Galvan, because we know and love him, right? I want to know about the character. Like, what was your first thought?
Well, Mel had already told me, that you did the camera work for a very long time, and that it took you a good while, before you got in the ring. So I was excited because they've always spoken very well about you. You guys call it like projection, right? Like your voice, yes. Like I can tell you loved it. And I was blown away. Honestly, I was so into it because I don't know, you just stood out. You really did.
For me, I think the first time I saw you, I think it might have been, I don't know if it was the first time that you got in the ring, but it was one time that you were holding the camera. It was at Brewsome. Uh-huh. You were wearing, I think, a black tee, jeans, black Converse.
Yeah.
That's the first time you got in the ring, at least that I've seen you.
Yeah, that's the first time I did a little situation where I was the cameraman. I did a little storyline with Richard Reason.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I remember you were like a little like just kind of rushed and just like you could tell the adrenaline was there. You were excited. Very fast movements. Fast forward to how I saw you at Landmark. Look like you know what you're doing. The way you engage with the crowd, like it's just the energy is there. And it's probably the same energy you had that first time, but it's the execution part is just like you work hard and it shows. You can tell that you're training right. You're doing things right. I mean, you're talking about like possibly a mediocre career. No, in the way that I've seen you evolve so quickly, no, I don't see that happening. I feel like you're on your way up fast.
You just really stood out. I'm a shy person. I will avoid talking to people if I can. But the first time I saw you, I told you did amazing. You were great. Like, I had to tell you because I was genuinely so drawn into your match that I was like, he's fucking awesome.
Yeah. That's really nice of y'all. It would have been better podcasting if you buried me.
You suck at this.
You're the shit. That's really nice of y'all. And I really appreciate it.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's true. It's the truth.
Yeah, no, I remember that Brewsome show. And that was so bad. My very first thing I did, I was with Reason, and it was a battle royal, and all I had to do.
Do you want to explain to the people listening who Richard Reason is?
No.
We can get to that later.
No, we won't ever get to that. So all I had to do was get in the ring. as a cameraman. It was a surprise because I've been the cameraman for years. I was going to get in the ring and give him a tilt-a-whirl head scissors, which is I just wrap my legs around him and go around. So when I get in the ring, I run at him, and in my own brain, I feel like he's not setting up right, which he was. He was sitting up right. So I just run past him, and then I run past him, and I run past him, and then I run past him, and then I finally do the move, and it looks like crap. And God, you feel like total shit whenever you mess up. So when it's the very first thing you do, oh God, it was awful. But later on, we did something to Bruce where I was proud of. But that is wrestling, and that's the thing. Like, I can't ever think I'm good, ever, and I'm certainly not good now. People are not good when they first learn how to wrestle for years. So I'm going to go through an ugly process. But that's what wrestling is. But you cannot think your farts smell good, because then you're going to stink up the whole locker room. And that's the one benefit I have of waiting so long to really get my shit together and start wrestling is I spent 5 years just being in a locker room observing and watching. And so I spent 5 years watching performers perform every week, Fridays. So a lot of that comes in through osmosis, a lot of that projection, stuff like that. Well, I saw the guys perform, like Joe perform, and I saw what he did that didn't work. And it was a lot that didn't work. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I saw when he interacted with the crowd and projected, it was great. When guys like Rob Love interacted with the crowd, projected, it was great. I learned that. I also learned a lot about real life, how you handle yourself, stuff like that. So that's some of the things I do, but I can never think I'm doing it right. And it's always, tomorrow's the new day. I'm either going to get better or worse. And tomorrow I'm probably going to get worse because I have to work all day tomorrow. I got to work on my job, do football. So I'll probably get worse tomorrow. But on Friday, I might wake up early and go to the gym and get a little bit better.
Jeez. How do you make time for training? How often do you train?
I mean, so I usually try and go once a week, but I work for a news outlet, Channel 5 News. We'll see. And so it's a pretty time-consuming job Monday through Friday, and during football season, I work Thursday and Friday nights along with the normal shifts. I obviously have to make time for my girlfriend, spend time with her. So there isn't a whole lot of time, and I haven't perfected the process, but I would like to go to training 2 times a week in addition to going to shows. But that also, I also have to go to the gym every day. So I'm trying to, I know what my process needs to be. My process needs to be I need to wake up at 5 in the morning every day and go to the gym or do body weight exercises. The problem is that really sucks, and it's really hard. But, yeah, I would say about once a week, if I'm being fair.
One of the things that I admire about you is, you are goal-oriented, because I used to tell you all the time, when are you going to start training? Then you would start training, and the question then became, when are you going to wrestle? But you were never in a rush to get in the ring. A lot of people, they start training and they want to have matches right away. One thing I admired about you was your patience and your ability to have the willpower to stand back and wait until the right time. Where does that come from?
The reason why I approached wrestling that way is because I had so much respect for wrestling. And I care more about wrestling than myself, in terms of I care more about the show than myself. I know what the show looks like. And I didn't want to go out there and wrestle and be an embarrassment to myself. I think what it was just self-awareness of what it takes to, I've seen guys that get rushed, get out there and embarrass themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's how pretty much everyone starts. And even me, I embarrass myself to this day. It's not like I'm, I go and watch my matches and I freaking hate watching them. So I still embarrass myself plenty of times, but some dudes get in there that have no business being in there. So I just think I have a self-awareness. And that's probably why. And I think I have some type of it goes hand in hand with maybe my ability to talk is my inability to talk, in terms of I haven't been diagnosed, but I'm fairly confident I have some type of social anxiety, hardcore social anxiety, where and maybe this is relatable, maybe people do relate to this that live in Mexican families, but man, I had so much anxiety about going to family gatherings just for the introductions. Do I shake this person's hand? Do I hug this person? Do I give them the cheek? I'm definitely not going to kiss anybody. And then you do the introductions, and then I'm like, ooh, that introduction was awkward. And then I just, hate it. So that's kind of how I lived my life with social interactions, overthinking it, being awkward, being quiet, being shy. So that goes hand in hand with my passion of wrestling. And maybe even public speaking is I feel like that's my time to be in control and really speak. So that's where it goes. That's why I think I have some natural talent, is because of all the hardships I have in like real life growing up. And I'm a lot more confident now than I was when I was a kid, but that was a real problem for me, is just normal awkward interactions. I'm an awkward guy. Or I think so much about all the screw ups I had. I'm like, well, this time I'm in control, so don't screw it up. Don't be awkward. Whatever. So I think that's where that comes from.
I remember when you first started training, one of the things that we used to tell you was slow down, because everybody, and it's like that for everybody. When you start in wrestling, you feel that you're taking too long to move from step 1 to step 2 and things like that. And I remember talking to Dustin Rhodes, your trainer. I remember talking to Dustin and letting him know that you were out there, and he asked me, is there anything that I should look out for? And I said, no, well, he does have happy feet. He's like, don't worry, we'll fix that. And dude, those happy feet are no more.
I would say I wouldn't consider him like my trainer in terms of, I don't want to say he's my trainer, because
Gotcha.
I did a 3-month program with him. He's got a camp with some kids, and they train with him consistently, so I want to be like, he's my trainer. But I spent 3 months with him. I did his camp, and I would absolutely say it was the best 3 months of my life. I'm so grateful for him. So grateful. Like, you look at the 5 years as a cameraman, it was a lot of stop and starts at the pro wrestling training. Just show up one time before Sino Ray, and maybe you'll train for an hour after you set up the ring, and then we'll do the show. I was really frustrated with myself not being able to be a professional wrestler, and I looked at the Dustin Rhodes camp, and it came out on Facebook, and I was like, dude, let's do it, man. Let's just quit my job. I have enough money in my bank account to do this for 3 months. The only thing in my life is going to be wrestling for 3 months, just so I can get a foundation and feel confident enough to perform. So that's what I did do, and that's what that camp gave me, and I'm so grateful for that. And I think what I learned the most from Dustin Rhodes was how to learn, not just wrestling, but just how to learn as a person, the moral values you need to have, like big picture life stuff. That's what I'm taking with me, how to learn, how to grow, etc. And it wasn't just him. His wife, Terrell, was so awesome. And when we would practice, she would tell me to slow my feet down. And whenever she tells you, you listen. And there was a drastic difference from when she told me and the very next thing I did. So I'm so grateful for her. And also the assistant coach in the camp, El Rayo, was super awesome. So that camp was just dope. I mean, it was a great 3 months, and it set me up for success to actually start my wrestling career. And for that, I'll forever be grateful. I hope Dustin still remembers who I am. I mean, he's a freaking legend, man. I mean, to lock up with him was the greatest thing ever. I had to go change my pants after. It was amazing. And he's like, seriously, he's a legend. I mean, I go and watch his career, and it's so amazing that this dude wrestled in the 80s. Was amazing in the 80s and the 90s.
And he's still going now.
Still going and still doing amazing. Every single time he does a match, it's a great story.
Yeah.
And I wish he wrestled more. I wish he wrestled every week, because I feel so like I just get my notebook out and I write down everything he does, because it just feels like a gift, because he is a wrestling genius.
I'm sure if you ask him if he'd wrestle every week, he wouldn't want to.
No. Yeah. I mean, if you've been wrestling since the 80s, it hurts.
I would assume you don't want to.
You'd feel it.
But I'm so, as a wrestling, because I'm a wrestling fan first and foremost. As a wrestling fan, I just am in awe. But yeah, I go on my YouTube and I see this dude who's wrestling in 2023 putting on a killer match with Swerve Strickland. I can see him in the 90s wrestling with Steve Austin and killing it.
Do you still have the New Japan World app?
Mm-hmm. I do.
I remember you gave me your logins to that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Don't say that on here.
Yeah.
No, I would watch it for free.
Get them, boys.
I would watch it because Galvan gave me the logins, and I was able to study a lot of the matches. This is back when I was still wrestling, and I would study a lot of the older matches, like all that hard-hitting Japanese stuff. Do you watch those and study those too?
Yeah, I try and watch everything, which I can't, but I love everything. And there's so many different little pockets of wrestling that you can go in. So I watched New Japan. I really want to. The greatest Japanese wrestling that's ever happened was in All Japan Pro Wrestling in the 90s with the 4 pillars.
Do you watch that?
I do, but there's so much more to watch. And that might be the best wrestling that's ever been is Kobashi, Kawada, Misawa, and Taue. But dude, there's so much. You go to Japan, you have All Japan, New Japan Today, just consistently killing it. Pro Wrestling Noah in the early 2000s, killing it. Let's go to Mexico. So much great lucha libre history. You know, Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr with the famous mask match. So many great mask versus match matches in the 80s and the 90s. And today's CMLL is freaking awesome. You go to Europe and Germany, and you go back in time. Oh my God, it's yeah. So I try and watch everything.
Dude, Chris Jericho talks about it in his book, how he goes to Germany and he's out there for like 2 weeks, and they're wrestling in these tents, I believe. And I think that's where he met Fit Finley. And he was like, dude, we wrestled multiple times a day, every day, and it was hectic. A very busy schedule back then.
Yeah, it's that was in Germany. And I think that the guy who promoted it was named Otto Wanz. Mm-hmm. He was a big dude, like 400 pounds. But that's how they learned to wrestle in front of, it was like a tour. It was a big circus. They have a big tent. So you just have families come out, and these badass wrestlers would wrestle like twice a day. And yeah, that's great stuff. And there's so much great stuff. But that's kind of what wrestling is, I think, is like you watch stuff and you pick one thing out of it and you put it in your toolbox. And you're like, I'm going to do that. It's going to be my spin on things. And that's the really cool thing about pro wrestling. And the trick, I think, is not to watch the guys everyone watches. Because everyone watches Ric Flair. Everyone watches Ricky Steamboat. And you should, by the way. That's the required reading if you want to be a pro wrestler. The required reading is Steamboat, Flair, freaking anyone, Danielson. That's the required reading. But I do think the trick is to watch some random dude in Zimbabwe with 300 views and be like, damn, that was a cool thing. I think you take some of that stuff, because that's kind of what wrestling is. It's copying and pasting with your own spin on it. Or just getting really high, which I don't smoke, but getting really high and inventing stuff. But, I mean, because I'm pretty sure, not that Darby Allin smokes, but because he doesn't, he's straight edge. But Darby Allin, to me, creates stuff out of, like, I don't even know where he got this. He didn't get this anywhere. This dude is, like, insane. So stuff like that's crazy. Like Darby Allin, I love watching him. And that's why I love Terry Funk, who just recently passed away, is he did stuff super different than anyone else. And it's just the little things, and that's what I love about wrestling.
You're talking about Terry Funk, who won the NWA World Title in the 80s, and then
in the 70s.
Yeah. And then early 90s, he's retired for the second time, and then goes to ECW and starts busting out moonsaults and starts changing the way he wrestles, the way he performs. And as time evolves, he's evolving. And we see someone like Chris Jericho, who's done that on so many different levels as well. Right now, you're at your first iteration of who Danny Ismael is. Do you foresee any changes, or is there anything in mind that you have that you want to try to evolve into?
I don't have any big picture ideas. I'm still trying to figure out who I am. I'm still learning. So I think I'm going to be this for a good while. But absolutely, 5 years from now, I'm going to be a completely different person. I know I do the babyface thing really well. Well, I know I have the babyface thing is what works for me now. Let me say it that way. But I do think down the line I could probably be a really gnarly heel.
That would be fun too. I would look forward to that.
No, I don't want to.
The reason why the reason why I think I could be a really gnarly heel is because I love old school wrestling and I love heel babyface dynamics, and I don't care about getting my stuff in. So I'm okay playing the role of not doing much, anything exciting, and getting people to actually really hate me.
Yeah. So who would be like a heel inspo for you?
Let me see. Heel inspiration. That's a good question.
Local, but also big.
Yeah.
Need both.
Well, the very first thing I think of isn't even a guy, but it's like territory wrestling. Well, the basic one that everyone in Texas is going to tell you is Gino Hernandez. That's a pretty good one from the old school days. But when I think of like Memphis, Tennessee, their territory was badass when it came to emotion. And whether it be Jerry Lawler when he was a heel or when Jerry Lawler was a babyface, fending off the First Family with Jimmy Hart, that type of tactics to get people to really hate you. But man, I mean, Terry Funk was a really good heel. obviously Ric Flair was a great heel. I mean, he would go in there with anyone every single night and give them the best match of their life and then move on. And he wouldn't do that much, you know. So I think those are some of the guys. Obviously, right now, the best heel in wrestling is, well, he's a babyface right now, but MJF is the best heel in wrestling.
That guy's fun.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that
He's
you
great.
can't really tell if, you know, he's being genuine in what he's saying. Like, whether it's good or bad, like, you just can't tell with him.
It's
You
believable.
Yeah, you can't help but think like a little bit of this just must be you.
Yeah. You know, Danny, there's like a lot of people take different routes in wrestling, and those who wait years before stepping into the ring and wrestle, like, those are few and far between now. But back then it was more common. People that would become wrestlers used to be referees. Was that ever an option for you to be a referee? Because I haven't heard a lot of stories of cameramen who became wrestlers.
No, I don't think so. I think it's because like I did the camera thing so good. To take me out of that position and put me in ref would have been a disservice to the show. So I think that's why. But
I love that you still picked up on habits, like good, bad, like all those things, like everything that made you who you are. You picked up on this along the way as a cameraman.
And that's because like that was just my real skill. Like like that's my job. Like I'm a videographer for the news. And before that, I was a videographer for sports. So that was just my normal job. And so I was just like, this is what I can already bring from day one, is this. So that's probably why. But I still remember the moments when you would talk to me, and it was so funny. Man, I think the most important, it's a good one. I think I learned a lot watching the Pillars of Destiny when they made their entrance at Ticina El Rey. The Pillars of Destiny, for those that don't know, are a tag team. And they're these big dudes, and they come
Vikings.
across. How would you describe
Oh, I
Vikings?
remember those.
They're Vikings, big dudes, like over 6 foot each.
Yes, and
Abs,
they come
muscles.
out. They took the fucking crowd by the balls, and they were like, "We are stars," and they didn't even do anything, and the crowd was already popping. So every time they did something, boom. So the I learned that from them. It's just like take the crowd by the when as soon as you come out until you come back in, it's me versus the crowd or me with the crowd, but we're working together and we're working. So I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot from the great matches that I saw. You had some great matches that I saw. I remember the storyline when you got hit with a steel chair by Coven.
Yeah.
And that was a great moment. Seeing my friends have great moments, like Chris Austin have some great moments, see him grow and evolve. But I think the most important lesson I learned at Ticina El Rey was just the setup and the teardown of the ring. That's where you learn a lot.
The pain of dues.
The pain of dues is very important because if you do the work that will give you no benefit every week, then that shows that you're dedicated to the wrestling. So it's like, that's what I loved about it. It's just like, I'm dedicated to wrestling and I love it and I'm willing to sacrifice it because no one's going to remember that I paid my dues unless I just keep on bringing it up as my gimmick. But but if you make this sacrifice when no one's watching every week, that's going to translate to being successful in life. So that's what I loved about it. And I still love about it. And I haven't done it as much recently, but now I will do it more now that the shows are on Sundays and not during the week because I'd have to come in straight from work. So I love that aspect of it.
How did you come across Wrestling Revolution, or what was the reason that you looked for them, or how did that happen?
Definitely just was a Facebook thing that came up on Facebook. And my wrestling journey wasn't just I was a wrestling fan and all the way through. I was a wrestling fan and then I stopped watching wrestling. Wanted to talk to girls. They didn't talk back for they didn't talk back for a while though. They didn't talk back for a while, but I grew out of wrestling as I went into college. Went to college, was in college. Well, maybe midway through high school is when I stopped watching wrestling for a while. Then I was back in college, UTRGV, and boom, on my television screen was New Japan Pro Wrestling. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada, replay of their first ever match. And I watched that match, and I fell in love with wrestling all over again. And that's when my love of wrestling was reignited, that match. And shortly after, it's like the algorithm knows, you see an ad for wrestling in McAllen.
So, where the hell did you watch New Japan on TV? What channel?
Either Access TV or HDNet.
Oh, that's right.
Also, maybe it wasn't that. I don't know if there was.
But that's your memory. That's what you remember.
No, but wherever their because Jim Ross did commentary on it, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they were on somewhere. They would do like replays.
Might have been Access, I think.
It's probably Access, but it probably was Access, but I don't know if they were on something else. I would say Access. HDNet was what Access was called, but I think it was already called Access. But that's where it was. It was a replay.
It was on PBS.
It was, yeah.
After Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
And so you saw the New Japan style. Were you a fan of that style before? Because in the U.S., there wasn't a lot of Japanese style wrestling going on. You had a few like.
There was in the 2000s. Everyone was stealing from Japan.
Fight.
But where would you see that though? Because I mean, there wasn't any streaming services.
Ring of Honor. Oh, you would. Every indie guy in the 2000s stole from Japan. Okay, that is every guy, because it was amazing in the 90s.
I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, guys. Okay, first off, the first generation of dudes in the 2000s, like Eddie Kingston, some of those guys, they would either get VHS tapes that were in rental stores because they lived in big cities, or they would get tapes sent to them by like people online that they burnt on CDs. So that's how they would do it. In the mid 2000s, you would either buy these CDs from places, or you would download stuff illegally, or you would get torrents. And so they did a real crap job of streaming their stuff. But wrestlers stole from Japan in the 2000s. But it wasn't New Japan. It was Pro Wrestling Noah was the big one. Kenta, who's a part of New Japan, everyone stole from Kenta. This dude came in. He kicked the hell out of people. He had a great intensity. Yeah. Everyone stole out of him. Everyone stole out of Marufuji. Dragon Gate was really popular in the mid-2000s. Dragon Gate is a Japanese promotion. And Ring of Honor brought them over for one. So during WrestleMania weekend, Ring of Honor has shows on the days before to get some of those fans to come watch their product. And they brought in these 6 Japanese wrestlers. They did their 3-versus-3 match. And it was the most amazing thing in the world. So, yeah, I love Japanese wrestling. But Japanese wrestling has been a part of the thing. But I didn't watch New Japan during that time.
That was your first time watching New Japan?
I had seen stuff before because I did stuff with Impact, but it was the first time I was watching New Japan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, as is. Because New Japan in the 2000s wasn't as successful as Noah. Noah was more successful than New Japan. New Japan, the problem with New Japan in the early 2000s was Antonio Inoki, the owner, wanted New Japan to be mixed martial arts. So he had his wrestlers like Shinsuke Nakamura fight in real fights, and they got knocked out.
Yeah. I remember, like, they used to have Pancreas, too. There was a promotion called Pancreas that was like a shoot-style wrestling where the kicks were legit, no striking, just open-hand palm strikes were allowed and things like that. I don't know how they worked that shit.
So some of it was real and some of it was fake. And some of it's like on the real MMA fighters' records that were fake matches. It's still on there. Like, there's some great MMA legends that have fake matches on their records. Yeah.
We were watching the Kurt Angle documentary on Peacock. Have you seen that?
I haven't. I saw that you were watching it, though.
How did you see that? Oh, yeah.
Instagram story.
I forgot.
Yeah.
My wife posted that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were watching it on the cock, or what is it that these kids call it nowadays?
My goodness. Not that.
Peacock.
I hope this kid doesn't say that.
So we were watching it, and you saw how Kurt Angle wrestled in college, wrestled guys like Sylvester Terkay, who eventually wrestled in WWE, and Kurt Angle also wrestled against Mark Coleman and Randy Couture, UFC legends, Hall of Famers. I think it's really cool that these guys got to interact and then went off to become pro athletes in different aspects of sports. Have you come across anybody that you've wrestled with that you're like, man, like imagine several years down the road, me and this guy are going to be killing it?
Well,
and that goes a lot with chemistry that you have with an opponent.
There's quite a few names, like a long list of names. I'm going to exclude my 2 great friends, Mooncat and Blackheart, because they're my great friends, and we want to grow in this business together. So I'm going to exclude them because they're obvious. Okay, number 1, Epidemus Jr. in Laredo, who's like very young. I see that kid is going to be a superstar. and hopefully I'll be able to wrestle him on a big stage one day. So he is someone. In the Dustin Rhodes camp, he wasn't in my camp, but he would show up because he was the champion of Rhodes Wrestling Academy at the time. A guy named Slim 7 is when I locked up with him in training. I was like, yeah, when he would show up to training, I would want to step up. And I didn't really step up that impressively, but I want to work hard so one day I wrestle him in a big promotion and we do well. Chris Austin is someone who means a lot to me, and I want to wrestle with Chris Austin somewhere. So Chris Austin, Slim 7, Epidemis Jr., those are the three. And then, I mean, I think of all my heroes growing up in wrestling, the Rio Grande Valley. I want to have big matches with Danny Chance and Danny Ramones and Bandana Joe and Eric Shadows. And the list goes on of all these people who took me under their wing and taught me about wrestling. I want to have these big matches in big crowds in front of them because all these people have so much heart and passion. And so one day I want to help build this place up to get bigger and bigger and bigger so we do these things in front of huge crowds and be superstars. So, yeah, it's a long-ass list. But the three big ones is Epidemis, Slim 7, Chris Austin.
I think a lot of us have the same goals, man. Like this is our home. The Rio Grande Valley is where we live. This is the place we call home, and we have loved ones that call this place home. And I think that if wrestling has taught me anything, it's how to, not just interact with the crowd, but also, like you mentioned earlier, like people turn to wrestling when things are down, like when things aren't going, they're not having their best day. So we're there for them, and we lift their spirits. And then when you see that collectively in a crowd, like it's a group of people, and you make them happy or you make them angry or you control their emotions through wrestling, I could just imagine the magic that we can create if we can get more people involved, to get more people behind us and more people in front of us to see us perform and things like that.
At the end of the day, there's a whole crapload of people in the Rio Grande Valley looking for something to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if we can do a badass show each and every time and continue to improve, it's just like the old school territory days where these people would make livings off of living in one area. They would draw huge crowds. So that's what I want to do in our area. Just keep on working hard with my brothers and sisters. Keep on improving our product. Keep on, when someone comes for the first time, I want them to want to come again and again and again and again and again. I'm just worried about my own backyard, and I know eventually I'm going to have to go out there and travel. And I'm very grateful for Spartan for letting me wrestle for 5-star in Laredo. And I want to do that too, but I'm very passionate about my hometown. I'm very passionate about making this thing really badass. And it ends in the shows, but it starts in the training. I need to show up to training more often to build that culture there. And it's exciting. It's exciting. And who knows what this will look like whenever your daughter is ready to be a wrestler.
Give it a few more years, man. She's ready. She's ready to go in. You've seen her grow as this little tiny thing who wanted to be a wrestler to this long thing that she is now. She's not very tall. She's just long.
And she has so many people to look up to. I mean, think of all the female wrestlers she can look up to that grew up in her backyard. Raquel Gonzalez and Roxy.
Yeah.
She can look up to those two people who are signed by the WWE.
Yeah. And I don't think it's hit her yet. How close, not how close, but the journey won't be as difficult for her as it's been for others, I think, because she has a lot of people that are in that circle in her life. She's got me. She's got people like you and that'll support her. She's got people like Ramones, people like JC, people like Chance that are okay with having her around, having her observe what we're doing and learn as she's going along the way. And there's not a lot of people within wrestling that you can honestly trust. So to build that brotherhood, to build that trust within others, I think it's a special connection to have with your peers.
Yeah, and it takes work and it takes forgiveness too. It does, because we're going to make mistakes. We're going to do stuff that piss each other. And that's one of the things I've learned about relationships. through my time in wrestling is you have to forgive each other, and you got to be secure in your relationship with each other and not let things unsaid grow and destroy your relationship, because that's the one thing I've seen time and again is relationships get destroyed, and it's heartbreaking. And I've seen so much BS. And I don't have an opinion about who's right and who's wrong. But all I know is I have all my brothers and sisters, and I'm going to ride with them no matter what. And if we have a problem, we're going to figure it out. And I don't mind to sell. If it's my fault, it's my fault. But that's kind of what I've learned, is to keep those relationships strong, because we need each other to be successful.
It's all communication.
It's communication, but you also, in my opinion, need to separate your life from wrestling. Like, you need to have your own life, and wrestling can't be your life.
Yeah.
It does not mix.
It's a very dangerous combination if you can't separate the two. Like, if you mix the two, like,
Can you elaborate on that? What you mean by that?
so basically, like, if you don't separate real life from what you do with pro wrestling, it can take over.
The wrestling world can be destructive sometimes. So you should protect the things that are really important from you and not leave it in there whenever it goes in a flame. Just because I've seen it happen, nothing in wrestling that happens in the wrestling world can hurt me personally, is kind of what I'm getting at. My personal life can't be impacted. So then I won't, and the reason why I do that is I won't ever hate anyone. Protect the personal stuff, because it can't be trusted with other people. And that's not to blame other people, not to say, oh, this person's awful. It's just we're all human. We're all superhuman in a very, very vain and insecure business. Yeah. And so that leads to mistakes, poor choices, etc. So if I just keep those worlds separate, the wrestling world really can't hurt me that bad. I can go home to my family. I can go home to my stuff. When things don't work out in wrestling, I'm not depressed. I'm not going to, yada, yada, yada. And I think it's just good in life to have multiple facets to who you are as a person. Like, wrestling's a job, and you need to have your life. You need to have your job. And if you love your job, that's the most amazing thing in the world. But like Ace said in one of your previous podcasts, it's a business. So Ace or any promoter is looking to put on the best show. So they need to separate their life from wrestling, where if this wrestler makes more sense for their show versus this homeboy gets cut if he's separating life from wrestling. That is kind of the example I'm bringing up. Or, yeah, something like that.
It's hard sometimes to separate the two. Like to like you mentioned, to protect your personal stuff. Sometimes you involve it a little too much.
Like Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can come up with WWE examples, not real life examples.
Yeah.
Macho Man and Elizabeth.
I need more personal examples.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels, Sonny, Bret Hart.
Important question. Are you a Shawn guy or a Bret guy?
Oh, good question. Bret guy. By a little bit. I love them both, but I like Bret a little more. I like the excellence of execution a little more. Yeah.
Mel saw Wrestling with Shadows and made a judgment call.
I made a choice.
Why are you a Bret person? Why are you a Bret girl?
Let me put my drink down.
You put her nest in front of Hip Man, and that'll tell you all I think.
I just felt like he learned so much from Stu, from his dad, and he just had like his mindset on the way things work, the way the business should be. I think he was very old school, and he just was wrestling in the wrong era because things were changing fast, and Shawn Michaels was a representation of how things were at that time. So I think his mind was like stuck in the past, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I just felt for him, because he felt like this is what's right, this is what's wrong. How does that not make sense?
Yeah, that is true. He was the biggest star in WWE. They gave him the championship when the business was changing from the 90s to the Attitude Era. And yeah, I get that. And the thing is, like, even though his run as champion wasn't the greatest business compared to Steve Austin's run or Hulk Hogan's run, now every single pro wrestler who's worth a grain of salt studies and dissects every single one of his big matches because they're works of art. Yeah. And even though Bret Hart did It's the little things in Bret Hart matches that make them so freaking awesome. The little things, not the moves, but the fight back, the way he sells. They're works of art. And so that's why he's one of the most studied dude. But I also like Sean. Do you like Sean? Are you a Sean guy?
I like both, man. I like both. In that situation, damn, like I guess I'm a Bret guy. I understand why Vince did what he did. I understand why Sean did what he did. And I think that maybe Bret shouldn't have done what he did. However, he didn't deserve to be put on the spot in front of millions of viewers to be, to be made a fool.
Yeah.
The way that they made it all.
The first time I heard about the situation was the guys were discussing how he didn't want to give up the belt. So instantly my mind goes to, vanity. But then once I saw the story and I find out what actually happened, I'm like, wait, it's more complicated than just not giving up the belt. Like I saw Bret's side. And Shawn Michaels, great wrestler. But I just see another side of Bret that maybe, I feel like wasn't really explained very much. Like, people didn't really understand where he was coming from.
Yeah, I feel like he did a bad job of being his own PR person or communicating his point of view. Mm-hmm. But that's the perfect example of personal life and business and wrestling getting mixed in, because those two guys personally did not like each other at all. They hated each other. And then that got into the business. But a lot of what I say isn't just pro wrestling. It's life. Like, with my experience working in the TV industry, overinflated egos are just as common, and people are just as crazy. So, my thing isn't like, oh, this is my take on wrestling. This is kind of my take on most things in life. Mm-hmm. Specifically, maybe stuff that involves people on camera. But, yeah, when you have businesses with egos, there are winners and losers, stuff like that. You got to protect yourself. You really do. And don't take things personal.
How did you get involved in the TV business?
Did you study film or something?
I was communication major. I loved sports. I think I wanted to be a sports broadcaster when I got into college, and I love so much. I'm very obsessive over sports.
Any
too.
particular sport you love more?
Every single. Mixed martial arts is probably my favorite sport, and the only reason why is because all the team sports. Man, my teams suck. I like the Texans, the Rangers, and
they
baseball.
They still exist.
I don't want to hear it. The Rangers, the Rockets, and the Stars. The Rockets have had a couple good years, but they've been sucking. But MMA. But I love them all. But I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. Right away, they weren't like, "Ooh, you're a freshman. Let's put you on camera. You're going to be a sports reporter." They're like, "No, Daniel. You were going to be behind the camera." So I started doing camera work for UTPA Athletics. That gave me opportunities to work for RGV Toros, the USL, the soccer team down here, and the RGV Vipers. Long story short, I was doing a game for July the 4th at the McAllen football stadium, where it was two Mexican leagues playing each other, and the dude who hires for Channel 5 was there working with me, and then gave me a job offer. So that let me into Channel 5. And then in terms of my career resume, Channel 5 for a year. I quit Channel 5 to go do pro wrestling. I was going to go to Booker T school. Then the pandemic happened, right after I quit. The pandemic happened. And so that was not a thing. So then I just gave up my first shot at my dreams there. Got a job at Channel 4. Worked for the city of Edinburgh for a year. And then I went to Dustin School, and then I came back to Channel 5 in April. And I love working for Channel 5. It's great.
You've been working for them, you were with them before, quit, and now you're back.
Yeah. To the coolest part about working for Channel 5 is when you're wearing a Channel 5 shirt or driving a Channel 5 unit, and people are giving you the 5 is 1, which happened today. Or people look up to you, that's really cool. And I also really like journalism. I like what journalism can do for a community. We are the fourth branch for people. There's the 3 branches of government, but if government screws you over, you can go to journalism, and we will stand up for the people.
Hell yeah.
So I love that too. Yeah.
And through this process, through the journalism, through being a cameraman, you got an opportunity to be a cameraman for WWE. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Yeah, they did a house show at the Bird Dog Dinner Arena, and it's not like Vince McMahon didn't call me. It was crewed by the arena people who I'm friendly with, and they know I like WWE. So they're like, "Do you want to do this?" So it was really cool. The cool part of the experience was I was able to follow the guys as they made their grand entrance down the stage, and it was so cool to see people who have made a career out of this, true professionals like Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, carry themselves, and I'm like a foot in front of them, and I get to see The Miz cut a promo. So that was the coolest thing. It's just to see that, and to see Randy Orton, who I love so much, command a crowd. And it was also cool to see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I didn't see too much behind-the-scenes stuff, but I did see some guys I loved watching in TNA. One was named Abyss and one was named Petey Williams. They now work for WWE as agents. So I literally saw these guys who are just treating this thing as like a 9-to-5 job, like writing on a piece of paper, like they're filling out a report that they need to turn in. And I'm like, damn, this is just another 9-to-5 job for these guys. They have to fill out this report, all this paperwork, BS.
They're just like us.
Just like us. And I remember seeing Petey Williams, who was the guy who popularized the Canadian Destroyer, who I don't know if you guys are familiar with that move. It's basically they do a front flip power driver. Very popular move.
Yeah. A little too popular.
Yeah. Fortunately, I can't do it, so you won't see it in any of my matches. And Abyss is like a version of Kane, but in TNA. But to see them do that, it was cool. It was a badass experience. Great picture.
Dude, I always so I've seen the cameramen there at AEW, and they're holding that heavy camera throughout the entire show. They don't put it down. Was it like that for you too? And when you were
the WWE, no, because all I had to do was entrances. But
okay,
it sucks when I do football, which I'm gonna do tomorrow in Harlingen, or this is gonna be released way later. But I'll be there on a Friday night football game, and that does suck. I have a big ass camera, so I put it over my shoulder.
Jeez.
I could probably only do that for 5 to 10 more years because that affects the lower back in a big way.
How long do you have to hold them?
I mean, for the whole game. But it's like for high school football, and AEW is different because they're shooting straight the whole time. It's like nonstop. For me, I'm only shooting for highlights when I do a football game. Oh, okay. So I do the play, boom, I stop recording, I take it off of my shoulder and I hold it down. I'm hanging by. And then I see they're starting to set up. And I put it back on my shoulder. I have to focus. I have to zoom in. And shooting football is freaking hard because you're far away, so you have to follow the ball. And sometimes when they go for the handoff, you pick the wrong guy. It's a whole thing.
That's wild.
Yeah, but those old school camera guys, I don't know how their bodies are just as banged up as pro wrestlers.
It's like a full workout, man. It's a full workout to work.
Yeah,
That's wild.
It is, and it causes injury, but man, they do a great job. You know, they really do.
Have you put to the backseat any aspirations of being a commentator? Because I know that you and I worked the commentating gig once before. What town was that? That was for...
we went to Uvalde.
Uvalde, that's right.
Yeah.
Went to Uvalde and we did a commentary work, and that's where I asked the promoter if he could book me, and he said, send me a tape, and I said, fuck you. No, I didn't say that. I just said, no, thanks. I'll work somewhere else.
Oh,
but then I never came back. I never came back as a commentator either.
Big head.
Yeah. Well, I think it worked out for you.
I have to try. No thanks.
I think it worked out for you. I think you ended up doing some other commentary work.
No, but that was a lot of fun, dude. And that came through you. You reached out to me and you're like, hey, man, there's a show going on in Uvalde, and you know the guy I'm supposed to do commentary with isn't going to go. Like, would you be down? I was like, sure, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And we drove up there. That was a fun experience, man.
Yeah, I would like to be a commentator, too. I would like to be involved in wrestling my whole life, for sure. And I think I could be a pretty good commentator. But, I would like to do anything in wrestling. If I could make a career out of working in wrestling, I would love it. Again, I just love wrestling. Whether it be commentating, producing stuff, et cetera, I really relate to Tony Khan's obsessiveness over pro wrestling. He still is a big fan, but yeah, he would be on there's this thing called Death Valley Driver, which is like the hardcore fans that are watching stuff from all over the world in the early days of the internet, like the 2000s. And he was a part of that community. Like that was a community where people would share this badass match happened in Japan, watch this. stuff like that. So he was a part of that community. And he's an amazing person. He really is. To do AEW, but also to help run Fulham, the soccer team, and also to be involved in the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how he does it, but I think he's kind of like me in terms of being obsessed with sports. But yeah, he was heavily involved in that community. And that community, you can see its fingerprints on AEW today. There's this dude that runs a website called the Lucha blog, and he has just been updating people on Lucha Libre each and every day for 20 plus years on the internet.
Wow.
And he got a shout out on the last AEW Collision show because they booked like 3 luchadors, and he gave some notes to Kevin Kelly. But Tony Khan would read the Lucha blog all the time. He tweeted at him. So yeah, I'm a big so if I could make a living doing wrestling as a commentator, as whatever the hell, I would be down. For sure.
And I think that should be the secret within pro wrestling is make yourself valuable at all costs. Like everybody wants, or at least everybody has a goal of what they want to do in pro wrestling. Mine was to be a wrestler. I didn't realize that there was more to just being a wrestler, man. Like there's people behind the scenes that don't get a lot of credit, but they're the ones that make things happen. And without them, the show won't go on. I'm now one of those. I'm a commentator now, and I'm there at every show. I get to call some of the greatest matches in the world, in history. And now, like, that's the one thing I preach to my peers is, like, make yourself valuable, find what you like, and find value in it. Because you never know when an opportunity will come.
Yeah, and it's exciting to think about one day, you know. I have at my home, I have all these lists of matches I want to watch. Like, I just want to watch wrestling. I want to watch, like, the same way maybe someone feels about Netflix, or I need to watch all these TV shows or whatever. I'm like that with wrestling. I'm like, yeah, it's like I have like 14 different things I'm doing. Like, I'm like trying to get through, every Terry Funk match that is notable. Every Bryan Danielson that's on tape that's notable. Every Bryan Danielson match. I have this list of 1,000 greatest matches I'm trying to get through. I have a bunch of random, like, I want to watch it. Yesterday I was watching, I was reading the Wrestling Observer, which is like a newsletter, but this dude's been doing this newsletter since like the 80s, and so he has an archive. So I'm also doing this thing where I read newsletter starting in 1991, and I read the whole newsletter, and I highlight like,
oh my goodness,
he said this match was really good in 1991. This Lightning Kid versus Jerry Lynn match in Dallas. So I look it up on YouTube and I watch it. So I'm also doing that because, dude, you can learn so much from the past, and I can't wait to get to the Attitude Era because that's the one thing you can learn the most from, the Attitude Era. But yeah, I mean, that's how I am with it.
Some people say that the old school is the new school, only because like people forget. People forget that back in the older matches, if you watch them, like there's things that don't get done now, things that are not performed, or they're done differently. But because back then, pro wrestling was real, and I say real in the sense that the audience barely even questioned its legitimacy. They knew that what they were seeing was legit, was real. So that brought a different perspective to what people were performing or people were doing in the ring.
Yeah, wrestling is storytelling. And storytelling is what you just said. I'm not an expert on this, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of what we see in movies and in TV and in fiction is all derived from like some very basic, like 7 different types of like Shakespeare or something like that. Where it's like there's a tragedy, there's a romance, there's the hero's journey. So you have like these 7 different or 8 different like things that you still see today. Like the same way you watch an Avengers movie and you already, Mel, you could write it. You already know what's going to happen, right? The Blue Beetle. I bet the Blue Beetle's going to get some superpowers. He's going to look really good, and he's going to love life. And then he's going to get his ass kicked. He's going to get humbled, and things are going to look bad. And then he's going to put it all together. But oh wait, at the very last moment, he's going to die. Oh no, he wins. Yeah. Oh wait, no, that's in wrestling.
Don't spoil it for me.
In wrestling, what is that?
That's the story.
It's a shine.
It's a shine.
It's a heat. It's a comeback. It's a false finish. It's a finish. That's what I love about wrestling.
That's something Alvaro and I were talking about not too long ago. It's just like how there's like genres, like movie genres, but like in styles of wrestling.
There needs to be more horror wrestling.
There isn't enough.
Those are death matches, no?
Yeah, that is true. That's what.
Would those be considered horror?
Okay, but I was
think you're
asking
right.
him
Okay.
what about romance? Are there romance matches?
Dude,
Not matches.
That's online.
The private,
That's online.
That's a whole different category.
the private ones.
There needs to be more romance storylines. You mentioned Miss Elizabeth early on. That is something that needs to be done.
Remember the Judy Bagwell on a pole match?
Yeah.
That was a wrestler's mom.
Oh, brother.
Who was the? It was Buff Bagwell and who else? Rick Steiner.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
What was the purpose? Who was trying to get her? Who wanted her?
I don't remember. I didn't watch it
Wanted
when
her.
I don't know what the situation was with Judy Bagwell. I think she was involved in one thing, and they were like, "Oh, she was good on TV. Let's put her back on." Apparently, Judy and Buff were really close.
She would shave his ass because like he would do competitions, like bodybuilding competitions, and like for wrestling too. Like she would help him shave his ass because he couldn't see.
Makes it more aerodynamic.
Yeah.
I would have waxed
I think they
Yeah.
put Judy
I-
Bagwell on a forklift.
Yeah.
And they lifted her. And Buff Bagwell was being mean to her, and Rick was like trying to save her. I think that might have been the storyline.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not well versed in the Judy Bagwell. All I know
You
is
haven't
Judy.
gotten there.
I know WCW put a bunch of people on poles. I know Judy Bagwell was one thing.
Piñata was another.
Yeah.
They put luchadors to wrestle in a piñata on a pole match.
WCW did a lot of stupid things.
Yeah.
A lot, especially in the 90s, like 98, 99, 2000, 2001, WCW. And in 1996, 1995, 1997, 1998, WCW was
See,
the bee's knees.
Piñato could have been there.
Piñato, yeah. Mel had
That's
come
my
up with an idea.
What's
for
your
a
idea?
wrestler.
What's-
Piñato, his outfit has like the little fringe, like
It's
a
like a
piñata,
piñata
and he
guy.
comes out where the party at.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
Giving
good.
out
There's a
candies to
local
the kids.
artist that would do
Let me hit that.
piñata. He did like piñata outfits. That was like his
Oh,
art.
wow.
That's a good idea.
Never
And
say
Yeah.
never.
It was pretty cool. They would dance and stuff, and it's just like all the fringe moving.
He throws candy at the kids.
when he gets beat up, Candy comes out.
You'll need some paper mache around certain areas to where he gets hit, candy bleeds
Yeah.
out of him.
He has an injury. Just put a little bit of newspaper.
Candy cane.
Pinata is a great idea. Pinato is a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm
Like
surprised you said it
piñato.
on the podcast. It's going to get stolen.
Nobody better
If
steal
anyone,
that.
I was gonna say, if anyone steals it, we're gonna find you.
Danny, was Danny Ismael your first gimmick or like character, or did you always want to go with that, or did you have different?
I always
ideas?
wanted to be Danny Ismael because I always wanted to keep my grandpa's name alive, Ismael Garcia. Very proud of him. He served in 3 wars: World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War. He died when I was like 10, and I wish he didn't. I wish I could have talked to him some more and learned more about his life. Ismael is a very unique name. When I Googled Daniel Galvan, there's like some pedophile in Peru.
Oh,
no.
Can't do that.
Creepy looking dude. Google Danny Ismael, Daniel Ismael, nothing comes up. So I can do that. Yet. So there's that. And then for Dustin Rhodes' school, let me think about it. For Dustin Rhodes' school, we were putting together the 6-man tag team match. And they mentioned something about characters. And our match wasn't going too good in the beginning. So I said when we were practicing it. So then in the middle of the match, I just was like, I'm Daddy Daniel. And so that was just my character. That just came out of nowhere. Just the alliteration of the word daddy, is funny in culture right now. I'm a daddy, yada, yada. So that works with Daddy Danny. So that's it. That's the story of my character. And I'm going to probably keep Daniel Ismael till somebody pays me a lot of money to not do it.
Yeah.
But I think my character will change. It's just me turned up. But if I become a heel, I think my character will just be like all the insecurities come out. You know, I want people to hate me because they see the worst part of themselves in me.
I would love to see you as a heel.
It'll happen one day.
I'm
It'll
sure it
happen.
is.
I would love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great.
When I wrestle Joe.
Hey,
Take
don't-
him
Let's
out.
I have
do
it.
it.
I have it written down. I actually I was inebriated, you know, and I started typing things in notes, and I have it in here somewhere. An idea.
Wow.
where you and I would be involved some way, somehow.
Yeah.
Like romantic.
A romance.
The
match.
romance.
I wouldn't
Say like
say-
romantically. This is where we intertwine that.
Yeah, no, it's here, and I won't say it because
No.
I don't want anybody stealing my ideas.
I can't
Let me
wait.
see though.
So maybe off the air. Well, I don't know if you'll get my notes because it's kind of like all over the place. But
Yeah.
you know, I just because I have a lot of respect for you, Daniel, and we've known each other for a long time, and I don't know. I can consider you a friend, right? Like I
Yeah.
could say that we're friends.
Absolutely.
And I think that some way, somehow, it'd be great. It'd be a lot of fun to be involved with one another, some way, in wrestling.
It'd mean a lot. I mean, that's what we're doing here, is trying to, like, you build these friendships and these relationships that really matter. So you want to do some cool stuff with your great friends, dude. And it works well when you, like, really love and appreciate someone. Like, whenever I wrestle Danny Chance in a singles match, that's going to mean a lot. Whenever I wrestle you, that's going to mean a lot, especially because you've retired a couple of times.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
Twice.
because the thing is, when I first started doing it, I wanted to wrestle, and I wanted to wrestle Bandana Joe, but it took my dumbass 5 years to get in the ring. So I better get after it.
You're
and
a
so
late bloomer.
I want to wrestle Bandana Joe. I want to wrestle Danny Ramones. I also want to wrestle Brian Danielson. But he's fixing to retire in a year, so my time
Make it
is up.
happen across the street.
Dude, I
We've
know a
been
guy.
saying-
I know a guy that knows a guy.
Yeah. I want to wrestle Danielson. I want to wrestle Alex Shelley. I want to wrestle Dustin Rhodes. I want to wrestle my heroes and my friend heroes. You're a friend hero. You're someone I looked up to. When I first met you, I was just a little rookie, and you had just returned after you had your great financial when you had your own writer's strike with WR. You made your big return, and I looked up to you, and you were so cool, and you were so nice to me, and you took me on these great road trips, and you took me under your wing, and that meant a lot, and you were a cool dude to me, and so that means a lot.
Thank you, dude.
And so one day we will wrestle. And
Hopefully, and because I'm very proud
even
of.
if you don't want to come back, we're still gonna wrestle. I'm gonna come in here.
You're gonna come do it here.
I'm gonna wrestle you whether you like it or not.
Chinga. No, dude, thank you so much, man. I'm very proud of your journey, man. Like I'm very proud of the wrestler, the performer, the person that you've become from the first day that I met you. I knew you had aspirations to do it. I knew you could do it. I couldn't envision what you'd become, but you are larger than life. When you come out, the emotion that you bring, the passion, the energy, when you see somebody like that, you know that this person has it. And people talk about it a lot, like the it factor. It's hard to describe what it is, but it's what draws you, and you draw the audience. You really do. I hope that you realize really like what impact you've made with New Breed, with Combat Cult, and everywhere else that your boots touch.
Thank you. No, it means a lot, and I'm really blessed that I grew up when I grew up where I grew up. I'm really blessed because of all the people who came before me in the Rio Grande Valley. That initial group of dudes who started training in a barn, you know, Shooter, Dante, Jodan, Ramones, Willie, Vermin, Jim Justice, and I know there's a couple I may be missing, but I think those are the six.
Those are the
right?
foundation.
The foundation guys who started wrestling in those Lucha Libre shows. Then brought in guys like Joe, the Novum Guinness guys. All these people paid their dues so that I might be able to have some fun at this thing. And so I'm fortunate that maybe I might have what you say is the it factor. But that don't mean jack. Now it's time to actually get to work. My career had barely started.
Yeah.
Only 17 matches. I'm the shits right now. I'm going to be the shits for a while. But I do know, I have goals in terms of how hard I want to work, and I haven't accomplished those goals. I haven't put in the right amount of work. But I know what I need to do in terms of what I need to do in the gym, what I need to do in exercise, what I need to do in training with my brothers and sisters. And I need to get to work. I need to balance that with my real life job. And if I can actually do all that, I think I might have a fun little career. But I got to do it. You got to wake up and you got to show up to work. And I'm excited to do it because I love this so much. I just recognized these Takis Chris. I didn't know this existed. I just want to try it real quick.
They're
yeah,
delicious.
go for it.
Yeah.
Let us know if you need water.
So let me ask you this question, Joe.
Yeah.
What are the questions you would ask a veteran?
Oh,
learn.
yeah.
If you were in a car with somebody you looked up to, like Samoa Joe,
Yeah.
Ooh.
what would you ask him?
Well, I guess I would ask him how certain camps were like. I know that Samoa Joe, Danielson, and Rocky Romero, to name a few, have trained under Inoki. Like, how was training under Inoki? What was that like compared to? I'm sure when they first started, a lot of people's first trainers. That's where you learn your basics, right? Like you learn the little things, and then you go off and you expand your knowledge. And what these older wrestlers used to do is like they would go to camps. And Harley Race was a former NWA world champion who would travel all over the world back in the 70s, 80s, back when you traveled for a living. Like you wrestled like 350 plus days a year. And these guys would go to his camps. And I guess I'm curious to what those trainings were like, because you look at guys like Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, and Rocky Romero, and they're all cut from a different cloth compared to a lot of other wrestlers. Like their style, like I would love to learn what they learned in those camps, because obviously, you know, Harley Race is no longer with us, so those camps, if they exist, are not what they used to be.
Yeah, there's definitely a lost art, the way the people were trained by Stu Hart in the Hart Dungeon.
Yeah.
That's the way Carl Gotch trained people. And there's a couple people that are still around, like Josh Barnett was trained by Gotch, trained by Inoki. Yeah.
So I think those guys brought legitimacy to a sport that is entertainment, sports entertainment, pro wrestling. These guys brought legitimacy to it, and you see it whenever you see a Samoa Joe match. When you see a Bryan Danielson match, to this day you can see, as you mentioned earlier, fingerprints. Like you see the fingerprints on that. So yeah, that would be the question I would want to know. It's like, how was the training? Like what was different than when you first started? I guess like the same question that I asked you. Like, have your goals changed, like from when you started to where you are now? And I'm sure they have, because these guys have been around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because there's like, when you're in a car with a veteran wrestler, there's pressure to ask the right questions so you get the most out of the experience. Like I shared a car with Ricardo Rodriguez recently, and I picked his brain, and I was just thinking, like, what other question do I need to ask him? What other question do I need to ask him about his experience? Because I want to get the most out of this. And so I feel like I even almost asked him, like, what question would you ask yourself or something like that. Because
he's coming back.
Yeah, and I'm continuing to pick his brain.
That little notepad.
And he was so awesome.
Can you share with us one nugget of knowledge?
Oh, man, let me see. One nugget of knowledge.
His Whataburger order.
His Whataburger order. We did 2 Whataburger orders. I don't remember what it was, though. I mean, he disappoints me because he's a California guy, so he thinks In-N-Out's better. So that's
wow.
yeah.
There we go. That'd be funny if you hit the applause one.
I think so. He was nice enough to watch my match with me the day after and give me some pointers, and he really talked to me about like tag team psychology, and it really stuck with me. And one of the very basic things that I need to do in my tag team matches is, if I'm in the ring and I'm in control, I need to be in between my opponent in the ring and his opponent at all times, his partner at all times, where I'm like in between both of them, like I'm playing goalie, like you can't get there, like that basic psychology, like those basic psychologies is kind of what he made sure, like you need to do that the entire time. You need to cut that ring in half, which is basics. But yeah, or when you're circling the ring in a tag team match and you get around to where your opponent is on the apron, you need to pay respect to your opponent instead of just ignoring him, which I did do in my match. I just circled. When I circle, I need to look back at the opponent and be like, hey, like stuff like that. Those are the 2 basics. A lot of it is like in between the moves, work your way to the next thing. Don't just go to the next thing. If you need to go somewhere else in the ring, punch a dude and then get there. Don't just grab him by the head and place him here. And so those are some of the things he taught me.
Those are the in-between things that you talked about with Brett. Like the in-between things that Brett does that makes a match so good. And those are the little things.
The
Because you can,
details.
the little details. Because you can do a backflip, land on your feet, and hit the guy, knock him down. But what do you do after that? So what the people look at subconsciously is the way you pick them up. If you pick them up by the ear, oh, you're a bad guy. If you pick them up by the nose, you're a bad guy. By the hair, you're a bad guy. Pick them up by the head, by the arm, that's a good guy. You respect. Things like that, little things like that not everybody thinks about. And it's shit, like even me, like when I was wrestling, I would forget sometimes. But perfecting those things will go a long way.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting because, like, dude, there is so much to learn, and it's so cool when it's just like like I just watched Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect from SummerSlam 1991 yesterday, and I've seen the match a couple times. But like all of our memories, it fades, and I forget things. So then I just watch it, and you just see all the little things the whole time. Mr. Perfect is consistently pulling on Bret's hair, and then Bret pulls on Mr. Perfect's hair. It's a beautiful match, and wrestling's so beautiful, and that's what's cool about it. It's like wrestling is a sport. Wrestling is a competition. The competition is with yourself. It's with your peers. You want to go out there and you want to compete and put on the best match you possibly can. That's the competition. That's the sports aspect of it. There's winners and losers. If I want to be a winner, if I want to make a living, I got to be really effing good at wrestling so I'm better than everybody else, and then I get a better opportunity. So that's when people say wrestling's not a sport, they're full of shit. It absolutely is a sport. It's kind of similar to gymnastics, mixed with the combat of mixed martial arts and boxing because of the physicality of it.
Do you share best practices? Like you mentioned earlier, reading The Observer, highlighting. You're in 1991 right now, highlighting. You just watched Bret versus Mr. Perfect. You said SummerSlam 91. Mm-hmm. And you highlighted that match probably to watch it. Do you share that with anybody? Because I didn't know that about you, and I think that's really neat. And I think that just speaks volumes of your dedication.
I don't share it with people per se. If I go to training and I saw something, I'll bring it up in training. Yeah, it's like that. But what I'm trying to do with my studying is retaining my information. Because I watch a lot of crap, but I forgot a lot of crap. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm focusing on myself first. I'm trying to figure out how to retain this stuff. So now what I'm doing is I'm watching a match, and I'm writing down everything. And then I look back at what I wrote down, and I look at it, and I'm like, all right, what in this match was memorable that I want to always remember? And then I write down that one spot, and it's a separate piece of paper. So eventually I can go down to that separate piece of paper that has all the really cool things I saw, and that's how I'm going to remember crap. Because eventually it's going to get out of my brain. So I'm doing that. But when it comes to training, I mean, I remember one instance I saw like a match in Japan with an Inoki, and I brought it up to Mooncat, and then later on we did practice matches, and he did that. So there's that stuff. Okay. I mean, when I was reading The Observer from 1991, there was an obituary for a wrestler named Wilbur Snyder who wrestled in the 50s and 60s. And so I went back and I watched some Wilbur Snyder matches from the 60s.
I mean, his name sounds like he's from the 60s.
Wilbur. And back and then in the 90s, Jim Ross when a guy would have an abdominal stretch on, he would be like, he's stretching them like Wilbur Snyder. Wilbur Snyder was the first guy to popularize the abdominal stretch. But you can watch this old ass crap from not crap. You can watch this old ass footage from the 50s that look awful nowadays, but to see them, the little things you can take from the way they present themselves, that's cool because there's stuff that's lost. There's stuff that's lost from the 50s that isn't there today, but still works today. Yeah.
When looking at those old matches, like the way that these wrestlers sell, the way these wrestlers execute, is so different than what it is now. But the people's reaction is even better back then for the simpler stuff. You would watch a guy hit someone with a running knee back in the 50s, 60s, and the crowd erupts. And I find beauty in that. Like, I don't watch a lot of old stuff, but when I do, I find how, like, I look at the audience reactions and what they're reacting to. And I ask myself, what made them respond to a high knee the way that they did when somebody throws it in a regular match, nobody really like reacts. How did they get there? Can we get there now? Those are the questions I ask.
Yeah, those are good questions to ask. I mean, I think something that's really important to know or to think about is they had the advantage of a lot of people in attendance thinking it was real. So things in a mixed martial arts fight at a UFC pay-per-view are going to get a much bigger reaction. A simple punch and a guy stumbles, oh my God, the crowd is going to go off because it's real. Yeah. And that's how people were looking at wrestling in the 50s and 60s. When Bruno Sammartino was champion, and even before, there would be articles in newspapers in the 20s and 30s saying that it was fake. But by and large, people thought it was real. Yeah. So by all intents and purposes, they're watching a UFC fight. And that's why the reaction was crazy.
That explains
But now people watch pro wrestling and they know a punch is
well, because then you got Mark number 1 over here talking about it online saying, well, this is how they did it.
Yeah.
And then you got someone else saying, I have footage of how they changed it. And they kind of like, it's a peek behind the curtain.
You're picking it apart at that point.
Yeah. You're looking for these moments. But, I mean, as a fan, you still buy a ticket to go out there and suspend disbelief, to enjoy yourself.
But you're trying to get to that moment to where it is real for the fan, where they're watching the whole pay-per-view and all of a sudden they get to Ricky Starks versus Bryan Danielson and they're sucked into the moment when Ricky Starks is getting the life choked out of him. Earlier in the show, that person was watching and they were having fun and they were on their phone and there was, oh, that was a good spot. That was a cool move. But then the magic is when you watch that match and they get sucked in like they're a kid and they're living in that world. And that's kind of what I aspire to be, is that to get it to be real.
I've told you this before. Like you remind me. Your style reminds me a lot of the Super J. Back when ECWA brought it to the States, they had a Super J tournament, and a lot of the Ring of Honor guys, Ring of Honor of old. You remind me a lot of that, where you make everything make sense. You make an effort to give each move that you do psychology, purpose. And I really enjoy that about watching you perform.
Well, I love those guys. I love the indies. The indies dudes in the 2000s are now the biggest superstars in wrestling today. Bryan Danielson was the coolest dude. Christopher Daniels, low key. Seth Rollins, who was Tyler Black back in the day. Kevin Steen, who's Kevin Owens now. Sami Zayn was El Generico. Samoa Joe. The list goes on. Yeah, his name was El Generico.
Where was he from?
God, well, he was Canadian, white dude, but I don't know where was he built from.
He was built from just north of the border, El Generico.
Wow.
And he was a lucha. He was amazing, amazing. Kenny Omega. I remember watching him wrestle in DDT in Japan, wrestle in these crazy promotions. The DDT is like a comedy promotion, and Kenny Omega went over there, and that's where he made his name.
Is that where he wrestled the 9-year-old girl?
Yeah. Yeah, he wrestled a 9-year-old girl, and it was awesome.
He also wrestled like an inflatable doll, no?
Was the 9-year-old a wrestler at least?
I mean, and she was training, and I think she's wrestling now, I think.
She did some good
That's
stuff
something.
in that match, man.
She did,
She gave him like a head scissors and a whole bunch of other stuff.
But the culture in Japan and in Mexico and England is like stardom young.
Oh, wow.
Like a lot of those luchadors are starting at a very, very young age.
I think starting them young, like it can go either way, because I feel like wrestling can be a dark place, but I feel that now I've been seeing a big change. And I spoke to Danny Chance not too long ago, and I told him that I love the camaraderie that he's built within New Breed. And I really enjoy how I know that back then when I was wrestling, like it was almost taboo to wrestle for a different promoter in the same town. Like you would get looks, you would get questions like, oh, so you're working for them now, that sort of thing. And I don't see that happening now. I mean, I'm not involved as much as I used to be, but I feel like that's not a big deal as it used to be.
I mean, it's not. It was a big deal. Like the pandemic screwed up local wrestling in a big way. It was scary times. When the pandemic happened, it really felt like we would never get indie wrestling back in the Valley again. I mean, that's kind of when the WR threw in the towel, those guys. And all the power to them, because they put this on their back for a very long time and they carried it. And now it was time for the next group of guys to carry it. And Danny, DeMay, and Ray carried it. now with New Breed Wrestling. In addition to that, Dom and Cassie are doing it with TWL. Eddie is doing it with Combat Cult. There's so many great Lucha Libre promoters. But it's been so cool to go on this journey with him. And I would consider Danny to be my head coach. I have a lot of coaches in life. El Naval is someone that I consider to be a coach. He's someone that took me in before New Breed and after Wrestling Revolution wasn't really doing much training. I went and trained with Naval, and he taught me my basics as well. And I'll never forget that. I'll always consider him a coach. I'll consider Chris Austin a coach. I'll consider all the guys that came before me a coach. I consider you a coach. I consider Eric a coach. Obviously consider Ramon's a coach. But I would consider Danny my head coach just because that's the camp I go to the most. And yeah, that's kind of my home. But all these other places are my home as well. And it's really cool to see where we're at now, to where I don't feel any pressure to only perform at one place. I perform everywhere. Yeah, but I think it's kind of friends with everybody.
Yeah. So now, from your time as a cameraman to now as a wrestler, you've met many wrestlers, local and former big stars or even current big stars. Is there anybody who you didn't get a chance to talk to or maybe even show appreciation to that you wish you could, or maybe even something that you wanted to tell them but you didn't?
The first thing is I want to just give a shout out to the original six, especially Dante, who I didn't have that close of a relationship with, so I never really had those types of conversations with him. But to them, but I'll give a shout out to one dude who I don't talk to other than liking each other's stuff on Instagram stories. But he's a guy that I think gets overshadowed. Man, no pun intended with what I'm about to say. But Matt Riot is someone who I haven't talked to in a while, but I really, really appreciate, and I'll tell you why. So Matt Riot, for my money, as a cameraman for several years, his run as the champion of Wrestling Revolution was the most impressive run. I can't even remember what happened. I just remember how I felt. I remember feeling like he was a hell of a champion. And when you think of Matt Riot, the first thing you think of is Matt Riot was an unbelievable athlete, high flyer. That's what you think of. But as champion, in my opinion, he displayed really great psychology in the ring, which is not something I think he got credit for. But I really feel like his championship matches were the best matches. I thought he had the best championship reign. So that's what I want to give him toast to. I felt like he had the best championship reign amongst the dudes I saw in the ring. In addition to that, when Matt Riot was champion, he sacrificed his body for the Rio Grande Valley Wrestling, really got himself hurt, and still would tear down the ring. Still would do that. And that was in a time when really the only people who tore down the ring were rookies and trainees, and he would still do it just for the love of wrestling. So that is someone I want to give a shout out to. Just because there's so many people in my life now I talk to, and I hope they know I appreciate them. So he's someone I haven't talked to other than sharing stuff. And if I see him somewhere, he'll just give me a free drink randomly. Like, he's a really cool dude.
Shout out to Matt Riot, man. He used to wrestle as Downfall there in McAllen. You know what, man? And he came from that school. He came from that period where everybody was hands-on. Him and his group of friends were the ones who were loading the ring, tearing it down constantly. So to know that even as a champion, he was doing this, like leading by example, like that.
And he was banged up. He was limping and doing it. Yeah, that sticks with me. So yeah, shout out to Matt.
Yeah, so shout out to Matt Riot. And you know what? We like to end the show with a toast, and we don't have any drinks, do we?
It's okay. It's a work night.
It's a work night, and this is all the work, anyways.
That's true.
So let's raise our glass.
Let's raise our water.
And Galvan, lead us in this toast, my friend.
Okay, I'm gonna toast to every single person that came before me in wrestling in the Rio Grande Valley. You guys, whatever success I have in professional wrestling is thanks to those that have already left and retired, those that are thinking about coming back, those that are still going strong, you all know who you are. And because of you, because you allowed me to be in this crazy world, because you took me in and treated me so amazing. I mean, from the Danny Chances to the Bandana Joes to the Tony Strongs to the El Navals, the list goes on. Jim Justice, where you at? Everybody, the good, the bad. Things have gone bad, things have gone good. But I still love each and every person that's taken a bump in that ring at Cena Ray and across the valley. Thank you all for letting me in your crazy world. And I really hope that in my next 10 years, I make y'all proud.
Salud.
Cheers.
Who's y'all's favorite wrestler?
I've got to say, lately I've been enjoying Eddie Kingston.
That's a good one.
He's very real.
I love him. He's badass.
Like, he just walks, aggressively towards the ring, and you just know he's going to fuck someone up.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Right now, I like MJF. He's such a douche.
Oh, he's great. I love MJS promos.
He's our scumbag.
Yeah.
B, have you seen him on the Rosie O'Donnell show?
No.
Oh, I'll let you Google
Because I'm
that.
just getting into wrestling. But him, like, I almost spent $24 on a jar of pickles because he's on.
Oh my god.
You should have had him, and we would have all that would have
I
been our
know.
toast.
We could have
was a
been having
pickle.
pickles right
Oh,
now.
I know. Fine, I'll do
You
it.
gotta do that, dude, for the
Fine, I'll do
podcast.
it.
An
I take
MJF
very little
pickle.
convincing to do something.
Who's your favorite, Galvan, right now? Current wrestler, I guess.
Man, it's close, but I'm gonna go with Bryan Danielson. I have basically 4 Mount Rushmore. So Bryan Danielson, Alex Shelley. There's a random dude in this wrestling promotion called Dragon Gate named KZ. And then my last one is going to have to be Randy Orton. I was watching Hogan Knows Best. Oh wait. I don't know which happened first. Either I discovered YouTube and I saw Hulk Hogan matches for the first time, and it was like Hulk Hogan versus Mr. Perfect and the Genius, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant, and then I started watching Hogan Knows Best, the TV show, and then I saw a commercial, and it was Hulk Hogan takes on the legend killer Randy Orton, and I'm like, this dude's gonna murder Hulk Hogan. Thought wrestling was real. So I bought the effing SummerSlam pay-per-view thinking wrestling was real. And that commercial alone sold me on pro wrestling. So that's how I started watching it. And I gravitated towards Randy Orton. So Randy Orton has always been a favorite of mine. And then Bryan Danielson and Alex Shelley and KZ are my favorites because I can see myself in them with the way they wrestle. They don't do too much crazy stuff. And I still consider them some of the best wrestlers in the world.
I think you can't go wrong with any of them. And I think Bryan Danielson has been people's favorite for like 20 plus years. That guy is just on a different planet when it comes to pro wrestling. Bryan Danielson from ROH, when he was a world champion, he dominates in his matches, and only because like his opponents aren't countering his shit. Like there's not, you could tell that these matches are like very much, let's call it in the ring. And it's beautiful to watch, to see it all unfold.
He makes a case for being the best wrestler in the world, and he's like 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", short guy. Doesn't do a lot of high flying either. He can do a couple crazy springboards to the outside. So the fact that he was able to become the best wrestler in the world with his limitations is like inspiring. And yeah, he's a genius.
And you ask him who his favorite wrestlers are, and they're all like people that most people may not recognize because they're not those flamboyant entertainers. Like his favorites are the guys who made wrestling look legitimate.
Yeah.
So
That Steiner guy.
Which one?
What was his name?
Rick Steiner.
Wilbur
Scott
Steiner.
Wilbur Snyder.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Wilbur.
Yeah.
Wilbur Wonka.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but I love so many dudes. Like, I love me some Terry Funk. I have like a list of 10 people that I'm studying, as I mentioned earlier, where there's this website called Cage Match, which is like a database for wrestling matches, but you can sort it to where like basically fans will watch it and they'll review matches and they'll be like, this was 8 out of 10. So you can put it to where in a dude's entire 40-year career, you can categorize it to where you can see all of his 8 and up matches. So I wrote down like all the matches of like 10 dudes. Like one of them was Funk, one of them was Eddie Guerrero, one of them was Dustin and his dad Dusty. One of them was Mitsuharu Misawa, who's a Japanese legend that Eddie Kingston's a big fan of. He's a part of those pillars.
He was the first Tiger Mask.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. If he wasn't, he was the second one.
Oh, second one, yes.
He
You're
may
right.
have been the
second.
first one. I think the first one was Satoru Sayama. Did I say Eddie? Eddie Guerrero. Who else? Bret Hart. I think I also did Shawn Michaels, so I did them both. Ric Flair, and Steamboat. And I want to study all those people because I consider those to be some of the best wrestlers ever. Oh, and Steve Austin. So yeah, those are the 10. Yeah.
And those are all like the best of their generation, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like top 5 of their generation, for sure.
And the cool part is I put it in chronological order so I get to see how they grew up, like how they figured things out. And so, yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
That's intense.
I'm really, I'm impressed and also not surprised that these are the measures that you take.
I think I have I have a lot of disorders.
My mind went to, I would type that out on a computer, and for every note, I would put a keyword so that whenever you're looking to practice something specific, you can search that keyword and all
like a
those,
hashtag, like a tag.
Yeah, I guess in the form of a tag.
No,
a
you're
keyword
right.
Tag.
You're right. That's a good idea to actually.
In other words, stop killing trees. But that can also come back and help you later on in your wrestling career, dude.
Well, because I think about it, it's like I've watched so much wrestling and I've forgotten almost all of it. So that's depressing. But had I organized it, it would be at my fingertips.
You still can.
Yeah, I still can. Still
and
will.
then you sell it.
Yeah,
and then that's your future in wrestling.
Honestly, like
After
what
done.
went through my mind is like I could see you as like an agent.
Yeah.
Like
I would,
like maybe you'd have fun with that.
I think so. I would love to do that. I would love to be like a writer. I would love to have my own universe and just put together the stories. I feel like I could do a good job at that.
Como Tony Khan.
Yeah. Maybe he'll trust me with something one day.
Hey, never say never,
Never
pal.
say never. But that's like the long-term goal. But it's just like the art of wrestling, and I don't have to be involved in it. I just love it.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And it's so cool when people do unique stuff and new shit. It's like, ugh. Whenever Joe would do some cool stuff, I think the best matches I've seen out of Joe, Jolly at TWL.
That was a lot of fun.
What do you think was your best match?
Well, you have to consider different things because I had a match in Rio Grande City with JC, which may not be anybody's favorite match but mine. But because it was with JC Valentine in Rio Grande City and we called it all in the ring, it was a 2 out of 3 falls match and we called it all out there. We did, I did tell him like, hey man, like if there's no people here, I want you to do this. Or if there's people over there, let's move over there and whatever. We did call that in the back, but we called it all in the ring and we got the crowd involved. And it was one of my favorites because of the way we were able to have the crowd in the palm of our hands. When it comes to storytelling, the climax, the fall of the Renegades or the Renegades of old, I guess, was probably my favorite moment in what I've done, in what I've been a part of, because nobody saw it coming. I needed a way out because I couldn't perform anymore. I couldn't wrestle. I was hurting. And the way all the pieces fell together, I think that I could say that match and its conclusion was probably my favorite story that I was involved in. And I think the crowd like really reacted the way I expected them to. Like we really got them. The unfortunate thing is it didn't lead anywhere. That's the only bad thing. I think the way that things were put together, and if as a fan you were there since, before, then that ending hurt. That ending, you felt something at the end of that match, like as far as like this is something big. At least it was for us.
Yeah.
And there you have it, folks. This was the interview, the sit-down podcast with the fighting spirit of the Rio Grande Valley, Danny Ismael.
Hey guys, this is Daniel Gavon, or Daniel Ismael. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for Lucha por Lucha for having me on. And if you're not tired of listening to me talk, you can actually hear me talk once a week about the wide world of mixed martial arts on my MMA podcast called the MMA Report.
I host that podcast along with Jason Floyd, where we talk all the happenings in promotions like UFC, PFL, Bellator once a week. Check us out on all your podcasting platforms, The MMA Report.